HTML tutorial 6. We're going to look at meta tags, including meta tags for Twitter and Facebook. I'm using Atom. You can use whatever text editor you want. Open up your text editor and make a new HTML file. And I'm just going to use a shortcut in Atom to bring up an HTML template. And we'll notice when I bring up this template that there are some meta tags in here. We're going to cover what these meta tags mean, and we're going to look at some new meta tags as well. There are a ton of meta tags that we could talk about, but we're just going to look at some of the most popular ones in this video. And we'll start by talking about what a meta tag actually is. A meta tag won't show up on the page. It just contains information about your web page. Information which is used by search engines and browsers, and also by Facebook or Twitter when someone shares a link of your web page on Facebook or Twitter. Then there are specific meta tags that tell Facebook and Twitter what preview image to use for your web page and the title to use when it gets shared, and a few other characteristics about your page and how to display it when it's shared on one of those sites. So we'll start with this first meta tag that came up, which is the charset, which is UTF-8. We won't go too deep into what that means. You can go look it up if you're curious. Essentially, it's character encoding that's similar to ASCII, but it includes international characters for other languages. Go Google it if you don't know what that is already and you're curious about it. The next tag is going to be the viewport. The viewport is the section of a user's screen in which your web page can be viewed in. Typically, it's just going to be set to what it's set to right here, which is the width automatically filling up the full width of the device. And the initial scale equals 1 is for when the orientation of, say, a smartphone changes from vertical to horizontal, then it's just saying to keep the same scale instead of resizing everything. So we're not going to mess with that. And this bottom tag here isn't really relevant anymore. It's kind of a relic for older browsers. We're just going to get rid of that. And now we're going to write some meta tags of our own. The first one we're going to write is going to be the description of the web page. You can write whatever you want in here. It's just a description of what the web page is about. Next tag we're going to write is the author of the page. I'll just put my name in here. And now we're going to write out some meta tags for Facebook. For the Facebook meta tags, instead of saying name equals something, instead we say property equals OG title. OG stands for Open Graph. Open Graph Protocol is essentially Facebook's system for reading meta tags and sharing links. And for the content here, we'll just put what we want the title to be when the web page is shared on Facebook. The next tag we're going to write out is going to be OG type. And this is just the type of content that is on the web page. I'm just going to copy and paste this that we don't have to write it out for the next few tags. So for OG type, we're going to put website. The options for here are website, article, if the web page is just an article, or blog if it's a blog post. So we'll just put website. And then we have OG URL, which is just the URL for the web page. So we'll just put https:// whatever. And then we have OG image. And the image we put in here is going to be the image that's shared with the post when a link to the web page is shared. And that's it for Facebook meta tags. Again, there are a lot more that you could include, but we're not going to go over all of them in this video. Just going to look at the most popular ones. And now we'll look at some Twitter meta tags. Twitter, we go back to using the name attribute instead of the property attribute that we used for Facebook. The first Twitter one we're going to have is going to be Twitter:title. And again, I'll just copy and paste this so we don't have to write it out a couple times. The title is just going to be the same as the Facebook title. The next one we're going to have is going to be Twitter card. And I'm going to put in here summary large image. If you don't know what a Twitter card is, then I'm not going to go too in depth with that. You can go Google it. There's a couple options you can put in here. You can do summary large image, summary player, or app. Next one we're going to have is going to be Twitter description. And then we'll have Twitter image, which is just the image that's going to show up with it. And that's all the meta tags that we're going to look at for now. Again, there are a ton more that you could include. What we've looked at are just the most popular ones that you might want to include for your web page. I just wanted to briefly cover them before I move on to making some CSS and JavaScript videos. The next step after learning HTML is usually learning CSS or JavaScript. I'll include the links to my playlists for CSS and JavaScript in the description of this video if you want to check out those next.